Hello, Nick Zagrello here, and I would like to introduce you to a program that I've been using lately called Plasticity. So it's actually made modeling pretty fun again. So it's just going to let you do things like use shapes and be able to create lines. And to me, it feels like building with blocks and shapes and being able to do cuts and things like that. Just make it really easy to make shapes and not worry about topology. So one of the first things that I did with this was started making brushes inside of ZBrush to where I could use these on some of the different surfaces that I was working on. And so I made myself a couple different sci-fi looking brush types with that, built a mesh out of that, and then sent the results over to Unreal to build this. So this has actually been sent through Substance Painter and built some simple textures and things like that. The other thing that I was using the program for is with the um, use of nanite inside of Unreal Engine, I'm able to take high-res meshes from Plasticity and just make these shapes and then kick these out pretty quickly. And actually doing level prototyping with the tools available to me with what we've got inside of Plasticity. And again, the advantage of this that I think is that you're not really worried about topology. You're just worried about shape and form and design. And I think that kind of makes the process a whole lot more interesting and a lot more fun. So what I thought I would do, I thought I would introduce you to the program, show you some of the tools that I found, watched a bunch of different content, and I'll try to make that as easy as possible for you to digest the material and then get you started to where you can make your own brush pack or your own brush set inside of ZBrush. So this first video will be just in plasticity and we'll go over that and we'll talk about how we can make these different shapes, and then in a future video, we'll talk about how we can send that result over to ZBrush and then start converting that into brush data that we can use. And then we could turn that into model data that you could use in other programs. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, as you start the program, it should look something very similar to what you see here. You're going to start off with this cube, and the grid is going to be in this orthographic view. And the first thing you're probably going to want to do is turn on perspective. So you can come up here and you can see that on some of the items within the interface, if you hover the cursor over it, it will actually tell you what the hotkey is for that. So this is numpad 5. You can toggle that on and off like that with the perspective like this, right? And then the next thing I want to show you is coming up here into the preferences. So if you go to preferences and then we go to navigation, there's a couple different methods that you could use to navigate with, depending on what program you're coming from. So I'm actually a Maya user, but I'm going to actually be using the Blender method of navigation. The reason for that is I found a plugin that's really nice that works with plasticity, and it's a bridge between the different programs. And that makes it really easy to send it over to Blender to do some rendering and then send those items over to either Unreal or you can send it over to ZBrush. So there's a lot of options within that Blender bridge, and I'm really enjoying that. So I forced myself to learn how to navigate with the Blender mode, so then that way I can go to Blender and there's no confusion between the two different programs. Plasticity is very close to this, but there are a few little differences. So I'll leave it up to you to figure out which one of those methods you're going to use, but I'm going to be using this blendered method. So the grids and units, this size of 10, if you put this on something like 5, you can see it shrinks the grid in here. And if you put it out to something like 20, you can grow it out even further. And then these accent lines every 10 units, and you can put this, and that could be something much lower like that. I'm just going to put this at 10. Actually, maybe I will do one like that. That'll give me something every 1 meter. It'll highlight that for me. So it's up to you however you want to do that. If that's a little bit too heavy for you, then you can put this on something like 10 or something like that, and then you won't see it. See, if I do 5, should put it right here like that. If I do like 4, you can see what's going on here with that. So I'll leave that up to you what you want to do with that. I'll go ahead and close out of that. So the first order of business is getting you to make sure that you know how to move within the program. For all the different programs that I've used over the years, this is the biggest struggle at the very beginning, to make sure that you know how to navigate within the program. If you can't navigate, you're going to have a lot of trouble with anything that you do. So I would spend a little bit of time and practice this, right? And so if you're going to use this Blender navigation, you can see I've got some text up here for you. You can do Shift middle click, and that'll pan. And if you just middle click and drag, that's going to rotate. And if you control and do the middle mouse, you can zoom. If I'm just going to pull this up and down, and that gives me a really nice smooth zoom. The other thing that I could do is I could use the scroll wheel to zoom in and out like that. Okay. The other thing is if we want to frame in on something, so if I select this right now, and if I tap the slash key that's with the question mark key that you see here, we can do this frame selected, like what we see here, like that. If I do Shift D, that'll duplicate this, and I'll just move this over, and I'll do two more, another one over here, like that. And if I want to work with just this one, I'm going to select this, and I'm going to hit the period key, and that will put this in this isolation mode to where you're just looking at that particular thing that you're working with. And if you hit the period key, you can get rid of that again. So I'm just going to go ahead and select that and tap delete on that. One thing I should note with this is if I hit Shift D to duplicate, and then when I move over, Plasticity is like a lot of other CAD programs where it wants you to right click to confirm, or you need to hit this OK to finish out the operation for that. So I'm going to go ahead and click this and delete that and get rid of that. Okay, so again, if I tap the slash key, that's going to frame in on this particular thing that we have here. And then if I want to rotate about a certain point, I can put my cursor at that location, and it will try to rotate around that area. The next thing is this X-ray mode. So if you don't want to see through your model, you can hit Alt Z, and that exists within up in here. And I just actually showed you this right here. So I put it in this different order. And if you don't want to see the floor, that's Alt Shift Z. So if you don't want to see the grid down there or the line there for the origin thing, you can get rid of that, and you can hide that on there. Okay. The next thing I'll show you right here is that if you tap 1, 2, 3, and 4, the hotkeys for this, this is going to give you points. I can't actually select points within this model just right yet. That's if we have some curves and we're working with curve data. But if we tap 2, we can get an edge. And you can see there's going to be a control that comes up and pops up immediately for us. And you can click and drag these two different directions, and that's going to either give you a fillet or a chamfer that you have on here. Okay, so I'm going to hit escape, undo that, and if you tap 3, you're going to be able to select your faces that you have on here, and then that's going to give you like an extrude function immediately. If I select that again, and then this is going to give us the ability to taper and do this move function that we've got here. And 4 is selecting the whole entire object, which is called bodies or solids within the program. Okay, so that should give you enough to just at least start moving around, and I would suggest that you give yourself at least 5 minutes or so of doing nothing but navigating and getting yourself to where you feel like you're comfortable moving around within the program. Okay, so let's go move on to the next stage. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is start looking at how we can manipulate this cube that you see here. So we're going to tap 3, and that's going to put us in the face mode. And then put this in this offset face mode. We can click and we can drag this down. And if you want to get a very specific numeric value, you can put this in here. So I can do negative 0.25 like that, something like this, and then hit OK. Or I can right click to confirm that we have that there. So I actually want just half the cube. So I'm going to use a value of negative 0.5 like this, and I'm going to go ahead and hit OK for that and complete the operation. Okay, to start off, I'm going to show you how to make these simple shapes, and we're going to build up in our complexity over time. So we've already taken a look at how to make this little shape here that you see here, half of a cube. That's the default cube. And now I want to have greater fidelity within my grid. So we can go over here, and we've got grid snapping turned on. We also have object snapping turned on, and you can see that if I click here, we're snapping to faces, curves, and edges right now for all that. So that's an easy way to turn on and off these. But if I want to increase the fidelity of the grid, I can keep clicking on the minus part here, just like that. And I'm going to call this cube like this, _1, just like that before I start duplicating it. And then if I want to put all of these in a group, just to have as reference, let's grab all these parts and pieces that you see here. I can hit Control G, and that will add a new group, and I can call this ref shape like that. Okay, And now I can turn on and off the visibility of this. I can make it to where I can lock it to where I can't select it. You could do it that way to have different drawing modes within there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select this. If you want to do the see-through thing, Alt-Z, you can do that. And I'm going to duplicate it. So I put this little note down here for you that you can hit Shift-D to duplicate something. And now with the grid set up the way that it is with the snapping over here, I can snap to the grid, and you can see I've got this nice incremental moves that we've got here. You want to temporarily turn off the grid snapping and hold down Control, and that will let you bypass the grid snapping. And then if you let go of Control, it'll go back to it. So I'm just going to take that shape and push it over here like that, and then right-click to confirm. So now we've got our next cube. It does do this naming convention like this. I did notice that if I double-click on the name, I have to hit the arrow key to the end if I just want to hit backspace and then go hit 2 like that. So it's up to you what the naming is going to be for that, but I'll leave that at your discretion for this. The next thing that we'll do is go ahead and we will make a negative shape on here. So if we go over here, we've got a bunch of different line tools that we've got. We've got this center circle tool that we've got. We've got a rectangular polygon tool, and we can look at that a little bit later. But we also have these different solids that we've got here for a sphere, and we've got a center box, and we've got a cylinder. So I'm going to just cut out a cylinder shape on here. I'm going to go ahead and select the cylinder. And you can see that now that we've got this snapping turned on, that we can actually snap to the center of this right here. So I'm just going to click and then drag out. And you can see I have grid snapping turned on. So it's actually snapping to the different grid increments. And again, if you hold down Control and you want a free form, I don't want it to snap to the grid, you can bypass that by just holding down Control. So I want this to actually be about this size right here. So I'll just click once. And then this tool lets you drag down, and it automatically is going to be in this mode where it's doing a difference. If you look in the bottom right-hand corner down here, you can see that there's a bunch of different hotkeys and things that you can do with this. And because I started dragging this off of the surface, it recognizes that I'm going to do some kind of difference with this. Now, I don't have to do a difference. I can drag up, and that will add the shape to it. If I drag down, it's going to do a negative. But if I drag up and I wanted to say make a new body, I can tap B like that, and that'll make a new body out of that. And if I drag out, I can do the same thing. But if I do want to do the difference, I can tap W for that. So at any point, you can kind of change your mind on exactly maybe what you want to do with that. So when I'm ready, I can just go left click, and that will give me the distance on there. I can actually play around with these gizmos on here to change the radius that I've got on here. And I could change the height on here. So you could either numerically put values in here, or you can have the grid turned on and you can use these controls for that. I can either hit OK, or I can right click to confirm that. And then we've just done the first part of this piece here. The next part that's going to be really easy for us, if we tab 2 and we come over here and we're going to go to our edges, we're going to select this edge, and you can see it's going to immediately give us this thing where I can drag to the left or to the right, and I can either chamfer or I can fillet this thing. So I'm just going to fillet this like that. I'll go ahead and right click and confirm that, just like that. Let me move this up just a second. And the other thing is, if you've got I wish this happened with chamfers, but it only happens with these fillets. If you've got a fillet and I grab this and I want this to be the same distance as this one here, I can just actually, while I'm in the fillet mode, click on this one and it will give me the same exact values. So a really nice option for that within through there. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And then now we've got our first part and our first piece made. Okay, so I'm going to take our cube. Right now we hit 2, so we're in this edge mode. If I want the body, I'm going to tap, I'm going to tap 4, and we're going to go into the object mode for this. And again, to duplicate, we'll just hit Shift D. We'll duplicate that. We've got the grid on, and we're just going to move this over, and we're going to snap over here. Okay, so now I'm just going to just pan over, and again, you're going to have to choose which control method you want for navigation. So I'm just going to move this over a little bit, and then I'm going to just zoom in just a little bit within through here like that. Okay, so now if I tap 3 for my faces, I had to right click to confirm that. I can select this face, and if I drag straight up, you can see that's probably not going to give us what we're looking for here. So this is a feature where if you click on a face, you can do the offset face. And so maybe that is what you're looking for, but in this case, I want to extrude this up. So if we select this face and we tap E, that's going to give us the extrude. And I need to keep moving this up. I keep running into this issue over here. So I can drag this up like that. And the next thing I could do with this, there is this degrees that you see here, and we could either taper this thing in or we could taper it out like that. So I'm just going to leave it at a degree of 0. I just wanted to show you that that's available to you, and you can do that. I'm going to hit OK for that. Now I'm going to tap 3, and I'm going to select this face. They do have this feature over here, and it's called Match Face. So if I click this and I want to match the face to the height of this, I can click that, and you can see it's going to actually give me the exact height of whatever that face is that we see right here like that. So nice, easy option for that. And if I rotate down around here a little bit, the only thing I need to add to this, if I want to get my edges, let's tap 2. And we're going to get edges, and then I can drag this over here like that. And then I've got this, I can right click and I can confirm that at that point. Okay. All right. So we're going to tap 4 for our body. We're going to hit Shift D to duplicate it. We're going to move this one over like this. And then at this point, I'm going to show you how you can make a center circle. So if you click and drag on here, there's a bunch of different things that you can use to draw with. We're going to use this one, this center circle that you see here. And I could drag out from the center just like this. That would be fine. I can right click to confirm that, hit undo. You can see that that was actually a curve at that point. I'm going to go back to this and I'm going to see if I can drag off from this this point right here. Now if I do that, and if I drag this way, you can see it's going to drag out here. That works okay for me, like that. Maybe I'll just click it right there like that. And if I don't like the size of it, now we can tap 2, and that's going to be our edges and our line tools and things like that. So I can move this, and to move, we're going to hit the G key like this. So like to grab. So let me do that again. Accidentally hit something I wasn't trying to grab there. So I can move this here like that. And so that's going to move for us. And if I want to scale it, I can tap S, and you can see if I want to uniformly scale this thing down, I could do that with this right here. And I can right click to confirm. Now, if you've used any other 3D program, you already know that each one of these is going to scale a little bit different, and then these are going to be scaling on 2 different axes. So nothing new there, but just a little bit different. And if you want to rotate, you can tap R for that, and you can do this here. If we hold down, let's see if it's shift on here. Let's rotate it. Let's tap R. If I rotate this here, and I've got this at an angle of 90, let's see if it's actually automatically snapping 2-degree increments. And I think that's because I do have maybe it's because I have the grid on. So if I want to not snap to that, I can hold down Control just like we would with the other grid commands. So let's see here. Hit undo. We'll rotate that one more time, and then just rotate that 90 degrees like that, just to show you that we can easily do that and manipulate that. Okay. All right, so next thing we're going to do, we're going to select this. We're going to tap 3 for our faces on this, and if we do that, we're able to extrude this thing down, and if we do a difference, we can tap W, but it's not going to know, like, well, what do you want to do a difference between? So as soon as you do that, and you tap W for the difference, it's going to ask you to select the body. Should put us in this mode for this, and I can select this object, and you can see now I've actually told this I want to do a difference between these here like that. So I also have this distance, and if I want to change that value, I can do numerical values for that and just do that, hit OK or something like this. All right, so you can see that it made this new curve for us. If you want to keep it, you can go ahead and select it over here like this. You can select it in the world. You can tap H to hide it. That's one way of doing it. Or you can come over and click on the eyeball icon for that, and we can turn that off. Okay, so instead of doing a chamfer or a fillet, we're going to do a chamfer on this one. So if you want to grab this, I'm going to have to hold down Control because I'm snapping to the grid. It also has the ability to snap to other elements on here like this when I'm doing that. So I'm just going to turn off the grid just like that. And then I'm going to tap B to get back into this mode of taking this and then doing this chamfer that we got here. And if I want to, while I'm in this mode, if I hold down control, I can add another edge to it and it'll put that other value on there. It's not like the fillet where I can actually do the operation, be done with it, come back to another one, and then copy it. You have to do both of them at the same time. So just be aware of that. So I just right click and I can confirm that. And then now I'm done with that section. Okay, now that we've got that shape made, let's go ahead and continue on. So we're just going to tap 4 to go to this body and accidentally hold down Alt because I am a Maya user and it will do this camera snapping if you click and drag. I'm doing Alt with middle mouse, so that's what happened on there. So that might come into your advantage, but I always tend to forget about that being the Maya user that I am. So let's go ahead and hit Shift D to duplicate this again. I'm just going to push this over right here. Actually, I'm going to turn the grid snapping on. Tab G to move, just like that. And we got this next part that we can start working with here. Right click to confirm. So I'm going to tap 3. And I do want to show you this, that it's possible to select a face and you can grow out the selection. You can do Control Shift plus, and then that will grow out the selection that you have for things. And now that we've got the selection grown, we can tap S for scale. And then if we want to scale this up, you can see that we can scale the information that we've got on here. Now, what might be problematic with that is maybe it gives you the right size hole, but then that's going to start to mess with the chamfers that we did on there. So I'm just going to right click to confirm this. And I do want to show you that it's possible. We'll tap 3 and I'm going to select these different chamfers that we've got. And if we just tap X, that will delete that part or that feature or that face away. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and continue on. I'm going to tap 2 and I'm going to select this edge here. I'm going to hold down Shift and I'm going to select both of these edges and then I'm going to do the chamfer. It's going to fail because I've got the grid snapping turned on and that's just too big of a distance for things. So let's try to get that within through here, something like that. And then maybe the snapping is affecting this as well. Again, I'm just trying to get a really small value within here. And so maybe you got to turn these things off to get this exactly where you want it to be. So it looks to me like if I want to do numerically put this, I'll do is I'll try negative 0.008 and negative 0.008, something like that, and hit OK for that. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that it is possible to take some of the features that you have on there and you can move them around. If you are getting trouble with the fillets and the chamfers that you made, you might want to delete those first and get rid of them. And then you can move some of the features around. That's a little bit closer to what you're probably used to with polygon modeling, but that's how you get it done within Plasticity. Okay, for this next part, we are going to be using some of the line tools that exist within Plasticity. So we're going to come over here and you can see the hotkey for invoking the line tool is Shift A. And we've got the snapping turned on here, and you can see that I can go, and you can see if I move this around here, it's going to give me some snapping between this fourth edge, this end, and right here, this middle part right there. So we've got a couple different options to snap to this. I'm going to be making this feature that we have here. What we're going to do is make a straight line in here, and then we're going to use an offset of the line, and then never wait to add caps to that line. So the first thing I want to do is just make a straight line going down through here. Now, because I'm snapping to things, I can snap here and I can just drag out. You can see this pink line. So it's going to just let me just continue to snap here. If I wanted to end this, I could just click right here and end the line there. But I'm going to continue on and I'm going to go to this edge right here and then click like that. And if I right click, I can confirm it. And then I've got my new line that I've got here. Now we haven't used the 1 key, so if we use the 1 key, we can get to these like vertices that you see here are endpoints, and you can move this, and I can right click and say OK for that. Okay, So we're finally to that point where we're using some of this right here. So we're able to move some of that around. I'm going to go back to the line tool. Again, we can click here or we can do Shift A to do that. And then if I wanted to go from here, I can find the midpoint here and then drag straight across and then click and snap to that point there. Again, right click to confirm that line that you see there. And then if I want to do the line tool again, Shift A, or I can click up here. It's up to you. I can just drag off of any part of this line within through here, and it's going to drag straight across and then go here like that, and then right click to confirm. Okay, so the next thing that we would use is the trim feature, or you can see the hotkey for that is T. So if I tap T, I can trim off this part of the line, I can trim off this here like that, and that would just leave me with this resulting part of the line. Okay, so I didn't need to use all those tools to do this line. I could have done it a much simpler way, but I wanted to show you a couple different things for how we can actually create the line on here. Okay, so now we're going to tap 2, and when you select the line like this, and then if we tap O for offset, you can see it's going to give us this arrow. It's going to drag out. The reason it's doing such a large increment like that is because the grid snapping is turned on. If I turn that off, I can drag this back over here. If we do have grid snapping turned on like this and you want to bypass that, hold down Control, and then we could do a much smaller line. Now here's the interesting thing. If we tap Tab, that will give us a line on the other side like this. So we can hold down Control and I can figure out I want this to be roughly about this thick and through here like that. And if you want a very specific numeric value, you can type in 0.025. That's up to you, and hit OK, and we can confirm that we have those lines made. All right. Next thing we're going to do is go to this area that we've got right here for the circle tools that we've got. And if we click and we drag out, we can do a tangent arc right here like this. This will allow us to snap to this endpoint and then come here and then snap to this point right here. And I can go ahead and right click and confirm that. I'm going to go ahead and do that again. And I'm going to click here and I'm going to click here just like that. And then that's going to give me this blue shape, and that's going to tell me that although these lines are separate pieces, it's working together and it's going to give us a shape for a face. So if I tap 3, I can select it immediately and start to extrude this or do some type of operation with it. Okay. So I'm going to show you a few more things about these line tools. If we tap 2, we can select the line. We can get rid of this one. We'll just select it, tap delete. Okay, so take a look at all the different lines that we've got over here. That we've got these straight lines, and we've got 2 arcs on here. If I select this piece, if I hold down Shift and select another piece, if we tap J, that will join those lines together. And if I can hold down this one, I can select this and tap J, and then I can go to the last piece, tap J. So I just wanted to show you that it's possible to do that by showing you each one of those lines. You could have selected all the lines and joined them all together all at one time. So that's really up to you. But I at least wanted to show you that that's a possibility. Now that I've got this shape made, I could tap G and I can move this entire piece. So I can hold down Control and I should be able to get finer movement on there. So I can specifically put it exactly where I want this thing to be. Okay. So now if you remember what we did before, we took this and we extruded that. And if we tap 3, we can drag this out. Let's just do this. I'll tap B to make sure we're making a new body. We can do that. Right click and we can do that. And if we tap 4, we could move this thing down. So I can tap G and move this thing down. And then I could say, I want to do a difference between this shape and this shape. So I select this one, and then I tap Q, and that's going to give me this right here, which is not what I want. I'm going to hit Escape for that. So as you can see, the selection order actually matters for what's the difference. So if this is my main body, and I select this, hold down Shift, add this one, then tap Q, this is going to give me the difference that I'm looking for that. Okay, and if I hit OK, that will finish that off. All right, I'm going to hit Undo, and I want to show you something else. I'm going to select this body. I'm just going to tap H, and that will hide it. Now, let's select this curve. And what if I want to use a thing that is imprinting these edges on there? So imagine this being like something that is going to give us these lines that we see here that we can select. We want these lines on here to do some operations on there. and this is going to be called imprinting. So if we do Shift I, we can imprint a curve onto a body. So I selected this curve, hit Shift I. Now it's going to say, what body do you want to imprint this onto? I'm going to select this one here and hit OK. And then now you can see I can turn the visibility of the line off, and then now it's actually imprinted those curves or projected them onto the surface. And they're not projected as far as like these curves just sit on top of it. It's actually cut these pieces into this object that you see here like that. Okay, so then now we can tap 3, and now we've got an object to work with here, and we've got something to work with over here like that, right? Okay, so now if we select this and we push this in, that is going to do the same thing as like maybe if we looked at an extrude. This is offset face, but we are just pushing this face directly down within through here like that. Now, if I tried to do this, I'm going to turn off the grid snapping, and if I do this degree function, it looks like it's probably going to fail on me like that. So if I select this and I tap E to do an extrude, and I extrude down, and then I do this this degrees that you see here by just controlling this here, I did find that I was getting better results using this as an option. And the reason I'm doing that, I want to do this tapering effect that you see here, and I think that's kind of a cool look. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK for that. And so that's a little bit of a difference, at least what I've found, between doing the offset and then actually using the extrude function on there. So again, I'll tab 2, and you can see I've got all these different parts and pieces of this curve. I could hold down Shift and I can keep going around this. That's a lot of work. If I go to 2 and I click on this edge, if I hold down Alt, I can do the entire loop like this. And if I do Alt and hold down Shift, I can keep adding to that selection on here. So now I'm going to do a chamfer on here, and I'll do something that's a pretty decent size like that right there. And if I hold down Control, it looks like I don't want to do this bottom one. I'm going to have that just straight. So I'm holding down Control and then just clicking on these pieces. So I'll just do that top part just like that. Okay, I'll go ahead and right click and I'll confirm that. And then if I take a look at here about what else was made on there, I can do this. I'm going to try to get a shape, and I need like half of this shape that we see here. So I'm going to take the line tool, and we can go to the center just like this, and I'll click here and here just like that, and looks like it's good. And now I can imprint that. So I'll do Shift I, select the body, hit Enter, and I can take that edge that we see here, and I can just tap H to hide it. And then now I've split that face, and now I can grab this and I can just push this up. Now again, if I grab this face, I pull it up, that's the offset feature, and that's going to be a bit different than extruding. So if I take this and I tap E for extrude, I can extrude this up just like that. Now, if I hold down Control while I'm doing this and moving it, I wanted to extrude this up. Actually, I'm gonna go do it again. Tap E, lift this up, and right click. I did show you a little bit earlier that we could select a face. We could tap G to put it in the move mode, and we can move this thing around, and then we can actually do this match to face thing, and then that would match to the top face in there. But what if I wanted to match it to this edge along here? We could select the face, tap G, and we have to be in this move mode. And then if I hold down, oops, tap the wrong button, tap G, we're in the move mode. And if we hold down Control, we should be able to snap to one of those edges on there. So depending if you want to snap to the top here, that would actually work on here. I accidentally hit one of the keys. If you look at the bottom right down here, we've got different stuff. I think I hit F for freestyle, and I could tap V to actually put the pivot right here like that, and I can move that up. And again, if I hold down Control, I could snap it here like that to that one, or I could hold down Control and snap it here like that. So based off the design, I wasn't quite paying attention to what I did before. I actually raised that up a little bit higher than what we see here like that. So I'll just right click on there, and that'll give us this little part here. And then what I'm going to do is tap 2, select this, and then we're going to go this direction with it, and then just do a fillet. And it's up to you what you want, how much curvature you want on this thing. I'm just going to continue on like this right here, and I'll right click on here like that. Okay. So there's that part. The next thing that we can do is this. That's pretty neat. We can select our edges with 2. And I'm going to hold down Alt to select this entire thing, and then I'm going to hold down Shift to select this part. And what I can do is I can hit Shift D, and then that will duplicate those edges that were on that solid, and it will duplicate that as a new curve that we see over here. Now, if you remember a little bit earlier in the video, we did talk about the possibility of doing an isolate, and we can isolate this right here by hitting the period key. Now, if we go to this and we tap 1, we go to our like our vertices. Let's see what do they call this in this program? Selection mode, control points. Okay. If we double click on that control point, it will give us some rounding to that. So that's up to you. You could leave it flat if you want, or you can round it off. Completely up to you. Go ahead and right click to confirm. Actually, it's all the way done already. So I'll just hit the period key now to bring this whole thing back. And what I can do now is tap 2 with this. I don't like that when I changed those control points, it really changed the shape of that quite a bit. So I'm going to go back like this at the period key and just leave it like that. But what I could show you right now is if we've got our curve selected, we could type P for the pipe command. And on there, we could actually control the size that we've got for the pipe that we've got on this right here, like that. Okay, so I was going to go ahead and right click and I'll commit that, and then we've just built that little feature that you see here. And so that's a pretty cool thing for sure. And then the last part will be us actually building this little piece right here. Okay, so let's see about this. Let's take a we could either do this circle right here like that, and we could drag out from the center point right there like that, and then we can make a new shape. That's one way that we could do it. Or we could go to the cylinder tool that's over here, and it would give us a very similar thing to what we got going on. And if it's getting too close and snapping to that, I can turn that off, and I can get really close here like that, and just drag it up. And when I'm done, then I can take this face that we've got here, tap 3, and then I could do the match face, and then click this here like that, and hit OK. And then tap 2, like this, and then do a chamfer on there, like that. Right about there, somewhere in there. So that should give us everything that we're looking at for this feature here. Okay. So one other thing that I would like to show you that you could do on here that I think would be pretty interesting is we tap 3 for this face, select it, and if we tap O, we can actually offset that face, and we can get a new curve that goes within through there. And then we can select this, and we can tap. We could drag this up because it's not touching anything. So this is the difference. If we do the offset, we can do that right there. And if not, if you were touching all the way here and that was causing some problems, you could tap E for extrude. I'll just right click to confirm that. Tap G to move this. And again, if we enable snapping, if I hold down control, I could snap right to this edge here, or I could go to this one here. It's completely up to you what you want to do with that. Tap 2, and then just do another chamfer on that. And then that will finish out these blocks here. And so that's pretty much a lot of the different basics on here. I'm going to continue on with the video, and I'm going to show you more and more complex surfaces and what we could do with things. But if you just want to get yourself going, this is going to give you a lot to work with right now at this stage, to where you can have fun playing around with different shapes and various shapes and building a few different things. and can get you just to the point of having fun creation and not like following along with the tutorial. After you have some fun doing that, join me for this next part, and then we'll start looking at some more complex shapes. Okay, I'm going to show you a few different options that's going to be a little bit more complex. What I want to show you is what I've already created here is this little pipe, and it does have the rounded corners on there before. I hesitated showing you this before because it's just getting a little bit more complex, but the corners on that line that we made would not round off. So I'm going to try to show you two different methods of how we can handle that. So if I tap 3, I'm going to be able to select this face here, this face here. I'm going to select this one, and this one. So once we have everything selected, if we hit Shift D on this, that will actually duplicate these, but it's going to make something new that you're not used to, and it's going to call these sheets because this is a not a solid object. So if I select it, and if you remember we hit that period key, we can do an isolation of that and just see this. And if I hit the slash key with the question mark, we can frame in on that. And then if we look at the bottom of this thing, you can see it's open. So this is not a closed surface at this point. What we can do is tap 2. We can select our edges that we got here. If I hold down Alt, I can select the loop there for that. And we're going to use what is called a patch. And a patch will allow you to take an open surface like this and fill that hole with new geometry. Now, because I selected edges that are on this actual geometry and they're not these curves, it's not going to make a separate object. It's going to try to patch this thing and join it all together and make it into a solid right out the bat. So we're going to tap F and we're going to do a search for patch. And once we find that, you can see the hotkey for that is Shift J. If we just hit enter, it's going to go ahead and give us this. Now, this might fail on me if I change these, but you can see this is set to G0 on all these. This is considered tangency. If it's anything higher than G0, G0 is going to be a nice flat corner piece like that. But if it's something like G1 or G2, that's going to try to do a nice transition and a nice smoothness through there. Let's just see what happens. Yeah, it looks like it's going to fail on there. But if I do G1 on there, let's just do G1 all the way around the whole thing. Doesn't really look appealing in this case, but there might be some cases where you might actually want that. But I'm just going to put this at G0, G0, G0. I just wanted to show you the options for that, and you can see what it's doing there. And then put that on G0. And if I hit OK, it should repair it, and it's going to make that into a new solid object, like what we see here, like this. Okay. So why did I do that? Wanted to take the shape. We did this before. We selected the edges of this. If you hit 2, we can select this, hold down Alt, and then click on here, and then add that. This is exactly what we had before. But this time, now that I broke this off into its own object, what I can do is select this here. Actually, I'm going to select this and hold down Alt and select this entire thing here. And now I'm just going to do a fillet on it and give us some rounding on here. Then now if I hold down Alt, when I click on this with 2, it's going to give us this entire thing. If I hit Shift D, it's going to duplicate it and hit OK. Should make a new curve for us. If I open that up, you can see this new curve that it generated. Now I can select the curve and I can tap P, and then we can drag this out and then try to give us a pipe. And it's only going to go so large to where I've got these fillets, these rounding parts on there. If it starts to intersect with itself, you can see it's going to fail right about there. So that's why it's only going to let you go so large with that. Okay, so I wanted to show you that as an option for this, and that will get the job done. We'll tap the period key and go out of there. So we've got this new pipe. Let's just hide that one. And let's take the curve that we generated and let's hide that one. And like I've got another face sheet on here. That's actually the solid that I made. So I can just delete that and get rid of that. Let's create the scenario that we had before where we tap 2, select this. I'm just going to hold down Shift and select these like that. And I'm going to hit Shift D to give myself this new curve. Now I'm going to go ahead and select it, and I'm going to tap the period key to isolate everything like that. And now we're back to that situation where if I tap 1, if I select this, so if I tap B, if I want to go try to fill at that, it's going to fail on me. Okay. So we're going to have to do some work to our curve to try to get this fixed up for us. Okay. So what I'm going to do, there's a tool that we have over here in this area, and this one is called Split Curve Edge at Point. What's the next one down? Insert CV into curve. I want to use the split curve at point like this, and you can see if I tap one and we're looking at these control points. If we click now on here, let's do this tool again and just go right here. I need to enable snapping. And if I go like right here, you can see I can insert basically a new control point here like that. I'll do another one here like this, right there like that. And this is where my limited current knowledge of the program is limiting me a little bit because I don't know how to get a very specific distance from here to here just yet. So if you know that, you can and put that into the comments, and that would be great to have that additional information. But what I do know is I've got this curve right now. I'm going to try using the trim part of this and see if I could trim that away. And that is possible, so that's nice. The other thing that I could have done, I'm going to hit undo for this. If I select the whole entire curve, tap 2, select this. Instead of join and curve, you remember join and curve was J, and if we hit Alt J, it will unjoin the curve into all these different parts and pieces that makes up the totality of this curve. So sometimes you're going to need that for your curves. You're going to need to unjoin things to build parts and pieces, right? Okay, so I've got this here. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tap F. I'm going to find bridge, and I'm going to bridge curve. Now, I have tried this out already, and it does work, but it depends on what the direction is that you're going for this curve. So if I go from this part to here, it doesn't exactly give me what I'm looking for. I'm going to hit undo for that. And I'm going to do Shift R to do my last command of what I just did. If I go this direction, go from there to there, this seems to work. This can work in your favor a little bit later, but you can see it generated this curve part here. And actually what it's doing, it's building tangency between this curve and this curve. So it's building a curve that joins it together, and then there is, like, mathematically it's perfect for how it flows into this curve and then flows into this curve. So that's a little bit important for later on if you do things with the surfacing. We just took a very brief look at the surfacing whenever we did the duplication of that part, and it became a sheet, and then we added that patch down below and we were doing the tangency on there. So you're starting to see a little bit of that, just a little tiny bit of that. But as you get more advanced into this program, you can do more advanced surfacing, and this tangency thing is super important. So just know that this is a way to build tangency between two different curves, is this bridge functionality, and it will give you this different part and this different piece that you've got here. Okay. Now, maybe what I should have done before I did this is split this in half, because I'm going to actually need to mirror this across. Okay. So what I could potentially do is just do this here, 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 and get rid of that. And then I'm going to take this curve here and then tap 1 so we can see the control points for that. Let's go back to this tool here, and let's see if we can snap that right in the center and then add this here. Now we could use the trim tool and just trim away that part of the curve. And then if I've done this correctly, I should be able to tap 2 and get out of this trim tool. So right click on there. I'll select this, this, and tap J to join that. And if this works, you should see that join all into one curve. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror this, but you can see my world origin is way over there. So if I want to mirror, I can select this curve, hit Alt X, and that's going to give me the ability to mirror across. And normally this is really easy. I would just select that and it would mirror it across the X-axis. That's not what I want because that's way over there. So what can we do about that? We can hit Alt X, and then you can see that it's possible to do a freestyle. So if we tap F, we can do a freestyle from the center of this right here. And if I push it along the right direction of this, right here like that. I just find the axis basically that I'm trying to mirror across. And so I just move my cursor around a little bit until I find where it needs to be, and then just click, and then right click, and then you're good to go. So now we should be able to take this curve, and join them together. Tap J to join those together. And then I could take this, if I do Shift A, that's going to give me the ability to take this curve, build a point here and here, just like that. And now I could select this and then tap J and join that all together. Okay. Now we can select the curve. Now we can tap P for our pipe command. And then we should be able to get this to, grow out. Remember, that's going to fail. It even tried to put that little tiny piece right there for that. So that's about as large as I can get that part in that piece to go right now with that. So I'll just go ahead and right click there, and you can see if we tap the period key, we can get out of there. Again, I'll select 4 and then tap the backslash key with the question mark key. You frame in on that thing, and you can see that's how that was done for that part and that piece. Okay, so a lot of work on that, but again, this is getting into more advanced options, but I just wanted to show you what is possible with some of the different tools and how you could accomplish those things before we start getting on to some more advanced shapes. Okay, we've got a few more complex shapes here, and we're going to go through these one by one. And the first one I'm going to show you is this one that we have here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a cube corner, and I'm just going to drag from here across. Now that is snapping to an edge. I did notice that if there's any problem with this snapping to this part here, you can hold down Shift, I believe, and then I'm just going to drag up. I'm going to tab B just to make sure this is a new body because I'm dragging next to an already pre-existing body, and just want to make sure that this makes a separate new part and a new piece. Okay. And then from there, I'm going to take the sphere. I'm going to drag out from the center like this, and I'm just going to tap B for new body and make something about this size like this. I'm going to take this and we're going to scale it. So tap S. I'm going to scale it along here like this. Hit enter and then rotate. I'm going to rotate it like this just a little bit, somewhere in here. Hit enter and I'll tap S for scale again, like that. Maybe I'll get something like that right there. So we can join these two things together. We can select this one, tap Q, and then Q again, and then that will Boolean those shapes together. Then we can go ahead and tap 2, select this, and we'll go ahead and fillet this out like this. Now, if you do want to do anything different with the shape, you could tap 3, and we could tap S for scale, and we could try to do something that looks a little bit more like that. Let's just see if I scale just that part. Not going to work the same. But that's how we could scale this in like this a little bit, right there like that. Okay. Next thing that I'll do is go ahead and make a cylinder, and I'm going to just go from, I'm just going to go from a center part like this, and then drag out, and then drag up, tap B for new body. I'm going to tap G. I wanted to make sure that that thing was actually snapping to the center, so that's why I drag out from that point right there. Yeah, should be good. So if I rotate this thing, and this, tap R for rotate, I'll push this here like that, and hit enter. And now if I tap G for remove, and if I tap V to move the pivot point to the center, then I can just push this directly in this. I'll do something like that. Looks good. If I want to scale it, let's scale it here, tap V, same thing. I can go here. And let's turn off the grid snapping. See what we got. going on here for that, for scale? Okay, this is just not going exactly the way I'm expecting. So I'll tap 4, I'll select this body, I'll put on move, tap V, go here, and then move this out just so I can see like how big this thing's going to be, because I'm going to turn this into a shape to turn this into this. So I'm going to scale it again, tap V, go here, and then just scale it right about there. And then now I can move it, tap G, tap V again, go here, then just push this right about here. Okay, I think that's going to be good. I'm going to duplicate the body, hit Shift D, and then I'm going to hide it, tap H. Now I can select this one first, hold down Shift, select this, tap Q, and do a difference between the two. That will allow me to hold down 2, select this rim here, and then I can either fillet or chamfer. So either one. It looks like I did a fillet on here, on the other one. So here's the other one that's hidden, and if I Shift H, really hid everything. So I'll select everything and turn on the eye icon like that, and that should bring everything back. I've got these reference shapes on, should be good. And I'll select all these and then do that. So yeah, accidentally hid everything. Didn't mean to do that. So let's go here. Let's select this object, tap 4, tap 2. I'm going to select the outer edge of this and then just do a chamfer like this. It looks to me like what I did with this is select 3, O for offset, and then just offset that in a certain distance like that. If you remember, if we just drag this out like that, this will work, and that's going to offset the face. But to actually draft it in, to go in, it's going to make it larger. So I'm going to tap E for extrude, extrude it down, then do this inside of here like that. I'm going to go ahead and select this face, tap O, offset it right about here. Same thing, I'm going to select this, tap E, push it in, and then draft that face in a little bit like that. And I want to raise it up just a little bit just to get it closer. And I think what I did next was I selected all these edges like this, and hold down Shift, and then I'm going to get in kind of close to this, and I'm going to just do a chamfer on all these right about there. It looks like I missed this one. I'm going to hold down Control to add it, and then should be good to go on that. Now we haven't touched on this yet, that it's possible that we can come up here and right click and we can change the different materials that we're looking at on here for this. So just check it out on different materials. I'm going to use this first one. If you click on it, this is going to be a different one for checking like this shiny render material. I'm just going to click off that and then click this one here. This seems to be a pretty good material to check everything out and see how it's working. Yeah, so there's that shape, and then we can move on to the next shape. So the next shape that we're going to tackle is the one that you can see that is highlighted here. And then this one is actually a little bit difficult and not very straightforward for how you get these corners. So let me go ahead and show you that. So I get this selected. I'll hit the period key to isolate just this part here. And then I'm going to make a cube again. So I'm going to take this cube here and I'll do this 3-point box like that. Turn on grid snapping right here. So I'll just click here, here, and right here. Let me hold down Shift and get away from that. And I'll just drag up and we'll go to this point here like that, and we should be good to go. If I want to make sure that I've matched this face up here, just to be extra careful about it, I can tap 3, select the face, and then I can go back here to this match face and then just click one of these faces, and I'm good to go on that. Okay. All right. So to make these corners, I'm going to tap 2 to select my edges. I'm going to select all these right here. I'm not going to select the bottom one, so you can see how I'm working my way around here like that. And then we're going to use this tool here. Go ahead and bevel that. and we could make our grid increments smaller if we wanted to. Now this is going to determine the size that you have for like the triangles that you got here. Okay, so let's go ahead and right click to commit that, and now I'll tap 3 for faces on here, and if I select these particular faces on here like that, and then tap X, I can get rid of that, and that will give me these triangle shapes. Accidentally missed one there. You can see that like that. Now we could select this, and if I tap S to scale it, we could now scale these in and out to figure out what the size of that is. I'm just going to go do this here. Tap S again. Do that. Looks like I am using 1.8 right there for the values, and I'll do this last one here. Tap S to scale it. 1.8 like that. Okay, should be good to go now for that. Now, if you wanted to make sure, like maybe you only wanted to do one side and maybe one corner, and I could work that way, what I could do is tap 4 for the object mode, hit Alt X, and then if I tap F for freestyle, I can click in the center here, and then I can move my cursor around to say like which side do I want to actually duplicate on this. So I'm going to go straight down this way and mirror it across there. And if I hit OK for that, we can do that. And now it's basically split this into 2 different objects. I'm going to do the same thing again, where I select this, I hit Alt X, tap F for freestyle. I can go back into this midpoint, and I can go right here like that and hit OK. And then basically I've segmented out this corner. So if I want to just work on just this corner, I can work on that, and then whenever I'm done with everything that I'm doing on this corner, then I can just mirror it across this way, merge it, and then mirror that part across, and I should be good to go. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and tab 2 to select these edges here, like this, and then I'm going to do a fillet for that. Let's try this first. I want to see just doing these first. The order of operation does matter for how things look. So if you saw what I just did before with that, take a look at what this does for us. Don't really like the look of these corners like that. So if I do these first and keep those straight, this gives me this shape here, right? So I actually like the design of that a bit better. So now I'm going to hold down, tap 2, hold down Alt and click on this, and hold down Shift to get the rest of it. And then now I should be able to either fillet or chamfer, either one, depending on what you want look-wise for this. I was going to do that there. I'll go ahead and I'll tap 3, and I'll tap O to do an offset of this right here, like that. Go ahead and right click. So I'm going to select this part, and I could just push this in. That's fine, but I want to do this a little bit of a taper there. So I'm going to hit undo. I'm going to tap E for extrude, and I'll extrude this in. And then this should allow us to take this ring and then pull this in to do a tapering effect. Okay, now that I have that, I want to take the corners on here, and I want to round the corners. So I can do chamfers or fillets like this. And then now at that point, I want to take all these edges too, and I'll hold down Alt, and I'm holding down Shift at the same time so I can select a lot of these. I'm going to turn the grid off temporarily, and then just do something like that. Okay, so there's that shape there. Now if I want to inset a circle in here, I can go to the center circle right there, and I should be able to click right on the center. And I do have, you see this object snapping that's turned on, so that's why it's going to snap right there to the center. Go ahead and click that. And then, actually I wasn't careful enough. I should have snapped to the center down there, but this is okay. I should be able to do, select this curve with 2, hit Shift I, and then select the body I want to imprint that curve onto and hit OK. So that's a different way of doing it. I'll just tap 2. I don't want to see that. I'll tap H to hide it. So now that's going to give us a tap 3 for a face. And if we want to pull this in, we can pull that in just like that. I'll right click to confirm it, tap 2 so I can get my edges. I'm going to hold down Alt and Shift and then select both of these right here like that. I'll go ahead and select this right here like that and then drag that in. Okay. And so we're good to go. And the next part that I'm going to do is just add this little button type of thing here. So I'll tap 3 for my face. We can tap O to offset it. And let's see, I'm selected again. Let's tap O and the distance. There we go. Sometimes I have trouble with that. I probably could have just taken that face and extruded it straight up, but I'm going to do that there like that. Tap 3 for this. And then now, because I added that extra line, I should be able to click it and then drag out instead of doing an extrusion. It's up to you however you want to do it. So I can go ahead and do that right there. And now if I want that face to match there, I can select 3 for the face, tap G to move it, and then I can tap V to change my pivot. Click right here in the center. And then if I want a face match, just click this and then click this face and we should be good to go. I'll tap 2. Just go ahead and round that off like that. And so now we've got pretty much everything we got going on over there for that one. Okay, like I was saying before, we can take these pieces. I'm just going to get rid of it, select it, tap 4, delete, like that. And then now I've got a chunk that I want to use to mirror across. So I can hit Alt-X, I'll tap F to do a freestyle, click on this like this. I can go whatever direction I want to go. I can go here, here, it doesn't really matter. So I'll click that and I'll tell it to merge halves together. Hit OK, like that. Okay, so now I've got that part and I can do this again. Alt X, tap F, and then select the center and then I'll just drag across. This time I won't use the merge halves together. Hit OK, just in case that happens to you. That's pretty easy. Just tap 4 and we can hold down Shift, select this one, and tap Q, and then this will do a Boolean operation. We can tap Q again, and that'll merge these together and hit OK, and you can see we're good to go now on that. All right, so now we can select this top face. We'll do 3. We'll do O again to offset this, get some kind of distance going somewhere in there-ish, right there. And again, I like to do this inset thing. So if we just click on that face with 3 and then push in, that's going to offset the face, but it's not, I just have not had the best luck with this. And if I select this, I pull it down and I do this degree thing, it'll do this inward thing. If I go out, it's kind of ruining that shape that I have. So that's where I found if I just select this, tap E, drag down, and then I do this, that works. The only thing is that if it goes too far, it ends up failing. So just be aware of that. So let me do it again. Tap E, drag down, and then I will pull this in for this angle like that. And again, I want to do the same thing, but I'm going to do it to the opposite degree. So I'm going to tap E, drag up like this, and then drag this in just like that. And again, if I want it to be the same height, I can put it on G, and I can click this face match and then just do that like this. Should be good to go for that. Okay, so that got me the shape going first, and if I want to round these corners, again, the order of operation for this stuff matters. So I'm just going to hold down Alt and Shift and select all the different edges that I want to do fillet to. This. Okay, so I'm just going to round these out like that. Something like that. Now I'll hold down Alt and then click this one, Alt and Shift, and then click this one, and then I'm just going to do a chamfer on that one right there like that. And again, similar to what we did for this part here, we're going to do that right there in the center. So let's go ahead and put a circle in here, go right to the center of this. You can choose whatever the distance is. I'm not sure if I can do this. If I go to this edge right here and hold down Shift, yeah, that'll pull out there. But I've got different different scales going on here, I guess. So I'll just drag it out here. I'll create it like that. And I'll take that and print it. I'll hit Shift I, click the body, hit OK, tap 2, select this, tap H to hide it, and we're good to go. So I'll tap 3 to select this, E to extrude down, and then I'm going to taper in this, tap 2, select this, hold down Alt and Shift, drag these out just like that. And again, if I select this face here with 3 and I drag up, that's going to do that offset command, and I don't want it to do that. So I could do this to combat that. I can do E and I can just drag up. That's one thing you can do, or we can tap O and offset that just a slight amount, and then you could take that and then just drag it up like that, and then do the face match like that, hit OK, and then we tap 2, and we click, and we drag like that. And that's pretty much how all that design was done for this particular shape. Okay, the next shape that we're going to tackle here is what you see with the triangle shape. So let's go ahead and get started on this. To isolate this, I'm just going to select this piece that we've got here, tapping 4 for the object mode. And then I'm going to hit the period key and I'll isolate that there like that. This time I'm going to use this box and I'm going to use the center box. I'm just going to click and drag out from my grid and get my grid snap turned on. Just going to click and drag out. And what I did notice about this is if we get into this corner really close, you can see it's going to click on this tangency purple line, and I don't want that. I do want it to snap to the grid, so if I just move my cursor just a little bit right here or in this area, you can see how it's going to now snap up to that. Now I can just drag up like this, and then if I want to make a new body, I can tap B for this, but should be good to go. So just go ahead and click and hit OK. And then now we've got our box that we've got set here. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make our triangle shape. For this one, I'm going to use the regular polygon tool that you see over here. Go ahead and click on that, and I'm going to snap to the center face on here like this. If you look down in the bottom right-hand corner underneath where you see my face here, you can see some controls, and it's going to say that you can do the shift wheel up, and that'll add more segments to it, or you can do shift wheel down, and we can reduce the vertices that it's saying on here. So I'm just going to rotate it around here. If I do push it straight forward, I can go ahead and click here like that. And we'll go ahead and make that curve that we've got. Now I'll just tap S to do the scale on here, and I'll just do a uniform scale, scaling it down just a little bit like this. Now if I do tap 2 to move this and I tap G, I can hold down Control, and I should be able to move this right into the center like that, and then right click, and we should be good to go for that. All right. I did notice this with this thing. I don't know about the spacing on it. We could take a look and see. I'll just draw a line tool, and I can click here and here like that, just to create a line. And I can move this by tapping G, and if I hold down V or tap V, I can snap this maybe to right here on the end, and then I can move it. And if I hold down Control, and then drag, I just want to check and see that that distance is good for us right there. Okay, so we've done this before where we'll take this curve, we hit Shift I, and we can imprint it onto this body like that. And we can tap 2 to hide this body. Now we don't need that anymore. And we've already looked at if we tap 3 and we push down, we can do an offset on there, and that'll push straight down. But if you do want this angle that we've got going on here, we're going to need to do a little work with that. So we'll tap E for extrude, push down like this, and then we can just drag in, and we will do a degree for it like that. Okay. All right, so the next thing is, before I start rounding out these corners and doing some work with it at that capacity, you can see that we've got some other little pieces that we've got here that are cut out. So we've already made this shape, and I actually want to take this, and I think I'm going to scale that in just ever so slightly. That's not working. So let's see. let's just grab this, tap S, and let's turn off the grid snapping and see if that does anything for us. No, not. Tap 2, like this, and let's see if we can chamfer this more. Right here, like this. I was going to right click on there. Let's see if I can actually get rid of this. If I tap 3, select this, and then hit X to do that, and that's going to give us a bigger part there, but let's see what happens now if we scale this thing uniformly. Okay, we can do that. That works. Okay, so to copy this, I'm going to take this, I'm going to select this face, tap 3, and we're going to hold down Control Shift and we'll do plus, and that will grow our selection out. And normally if we hit Shift D, that'll duplicate, but if we do Alt D, that's going to duplicate special, a different type of duplicate, and you can see it actually took that shape and filled it in for us. So now we've got a piece that we could use as a negative shape for ourselves. I'm going to hit undo for that. I'm going to rotate this thing, so I'm going to tap R and then just click right here. Let's do this. See if I hold down Control, we can rotate it 180 right there like that. And I do want to scale this thing, so I can tap S and we can scale this thing down like that. I'll just hit Enter. I'll tap G for this and move this into position here. And that looks like it's still too big, so I'll tap S to scale this thing in like that, just like that. And we do have the solid. It's sitting down below. Let's move it up right here like this. And what I could do is, if we want to move this down, I can tap V, put it right here, and I can move it down and then hold on Control and then find some kind of edge for this snap. And so now that's going to sit directly on that surface right there. Again, I'm going to tap 4, select it, and just move it out ever so slightly, maybe about right there like that. So to get the other ones and put them in position, I'm just going to select 4 for the object mode, and then I'm going to do, there's a radial array right down here, and we'll go ahead and click that, and I'll go click the center face right there to give us that center point, and we can put this on 3 like that. Okay. All right, so that's going to give us this, and then now I can go ahead and take this shape and tap Q for a difference on it, and I can hold down Shift and keep adding these other shapes and hit OK. And so now we've got that, right? Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these because let's do this. I'm going to show you this. We are going to take this and this one and do a difference. Just do tap Q and hit OK. Because I'm going to do some rounding work, and then after I do this work on this one, I'm going to steal it and then just rotate it around on here. Okay, so to get this rounding a specific order, the order of this does matter as far as what the look ends up being on this. So I'm just going to round out these corners like this with a fillet, and it's up to you for what the actual size of that actually is. We're on 2 to select our edges, so I'm going to hold down Alt and Shift and then just keep working our way around the model like this. And we should be able to now run either a chamfer or a fillet. And they will fail after they get to a certain size on some of these, so just be aware of that. I think that's going to look pretty neat. Also, let's go ahead and do that for this one. And then I'm going to do the same operations basically for this. Just going to run a fillet. Go ahead and hold down Control and click on these edges. Alt and Shift. And that will allow me to keep working around here. Pull out like this, something like that. Okay. And so since I've already made this one, I want to steal it and push it around the different areas that we've got on here. Okay, Real quick, before I do this, I want to see what this looks like if we go and change the order of this. So Alt Shift, and I'm clicking these. I don't want this edge, and this edge. I want to see about rounding that. That's not going to give me what I want. What if we select all of them all at the same time and go out? Look is pretty similar to everything. Okay. All right. So if I want to steal this, I'm going to tap 3, hold on Control and Shift, and then hit the plus key to grow that out. And if you remember, we just did Alt D to duplicate special. Just right click to confirm. And then now we can do the radial array. We'll go ahead and click on this face, and we've already set up to be just doing 3 there, right? If I tap 4 on that one, don't need that one. We can select this first, hold down Shift, select this, tap Q. If we hold down Shift, we can add this one here and hit OK for that. And then the next part, it's going to be pretty easy. We're just going to go do a center circle, click and drag out from here, like this. And we'll do Shift I, select our body, imprint it on there. We can tap 2. We can either delete it or we can tap H to hide. It's up to you what you want to do. I'm going to tap 3, and I'm not going to drag straight down. I'm going to select E and then push down. And then I'm going to go ahead and taper in like that. Tap 2. And then I'm going to hold down Alt and Shift so I can select multiple edges, just like that. And drag out right about there. And the next part that I did on that, I took this face here, tap 3. If we do O, we can drag this in, and I might be snapping to some things. There we go. So that looks like it'll be pretty decent there. For this one, I'm just going to tap 3 and then push down, straight down, like that. Actually, this is pretty large. So let me tap S and see if we can scale that out on this right here, like that. There we go. Okay, I'm going to push that down just like this. And then do another offset O, pull that up like that. We can take this edge 2 and build it like that. I'm going to take this, tap 3, then just pull it straight up like that. And if I want to select it and move it, I can hold down Control and then just click on this edge that we got right there. Tap 2 and just fillet that. And we've got some shape just like this. All right. So maybe it looks a little bit different. I think for this one, I might have actually taken curves and imprinted the curves and did this just a little bit different. So I think I did maybe some rounding on that curve first before I did this. So let me just show you that real quick. I'm just going to click and drag out. We'll do Shift and roll the middle mouse like that. Okay. So we got the curve, right? And if we tap 1 on these points, we can select this, and we can tap B, and we can bevel the points on there. So if I do that, at that point, we'll just tap 2, and we can hit Shift I, imprint it on the body. Select this curve, just tap H, we'll hide it. And now at this point, if we tap 3, we do Shift E. Let's select it again, this face. Shift E, or sorry, not Shift E, just E, and drag down. And then we'll drag this in like this to do this tapering effect. We got something like that, right? And now we'll tap 2, hold on Alt Shift and click these, and then we'll go ahead and round those corners off, just like that. Okay, so that's a bit of a difference between the look on here for what you want to do. So you can get either one of those techniques. Go ahead and hit undo for that. Get rid of that. And so yeah, so that's how this shape here was made. And we'll move on to the next one. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next shape, and you can see what I've got here. This one's going to be pretty simple. We're going to do the same thing we did before, turn on grid snapping, and we're going to use this center box like this. Go ahead and click this right here. I'll snap here and then move up just like that. Right click to confirm. And on this one, I'm going to actually use a sphere. Just click and drag this out, and then I will do Q like this, and let's get this a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to hold down Control and drag it in about here like that. Hit OK. So that should join the two of these together like this. Now I can tap 2 and then just do a really large fillet like this. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off right around here in this area. So let's go ahead and go to this side view like this. I'm going to go ahead and make my grid increments a bit higher. Then I'm going to take a curve here, a line, and I'll just go ahead and go straight across here like that. Right click to confirm, and I can do C to cut and then choose this as the body, hit OK, and that should cut off the top of this. We'll tap 4 to select this, go ahead and hit backspace or delete. Now we can tap 2 on this and then go ahead and do a maybe a fillet or a chamfer, depending on what you want. I'm going to turn off the grid snapping just so I can get finer control of this, like this here. Before I do that, I'm going to tap 3 and just select this and just see what happens if I move this like this. I do think what I did before on the other one is like I took that sphere that I had and I made a new body out of it and I squished it. So maybe it'll let me scale this a little bit and then move it down like that. So not quite exactly the same as what I did before, but that'll work. I'll just select the curve, tap H to hide it, and again we'll tap 2, and we can either fillet this and make it nice and soft, or we can go this direction and do a chamfer. So it's up to you what you want to do with that. Okay, so that should be nice and flat for me. At that point, if I want to take this face, tap 3, I'll do O, and I'll offset that just like this a little bit, just in here. I'll go ahead and grab this, pull this down like this, tap 2, do a chamfer right there like that. Okay, then we're going to tap this face, tap 3, tap O. I'm going to drag in right around there like that. I'll go ahead and drag this up like this, and I'll go just a little bit higher than that, and then I can tap 2 to drag out the chamfer like you see here. Right click to confirm. I'll select this with 2, hold down shift and do another one just like that. Okay, so we've already looked at back here how to do some of these shapes like this over here, but let's just go ahead and do this together again. We'll go ahead and select this line tool. I'm going to go from here to here, and I've got that snapping turned on. Right click to confirm, and if I tap S, I can scale this in this way like that. We select the curve, tap 2, tap O for offset, and let's see, yeah, we go here, just hit tab and we can choose the width of this. So let's go here right like that. If we go back to the curve tool, actually right here, and we do this tangent arc, we can go click from this to this right here like that. And if you do Shift R, that will do your last tool that you had. So we can do that just like this. If we want to take those curves and we want to join them together, we can select all the curves, hold down Shift, just click J to join. Take this curve here. I'm going to either hide it or tap H, or you can backspace to delete it. It's up to you what you want to do with it. Okay, so I am going to use this curve here. So I'm going to hit Shift D and I'm going to pull it down over here just temporarily. And we will do some work on here like we see. So I'm going to go ahead, take this and hit Shift I and imprint it on the body. So just hit Shift I, select the body, hit OK. And we don't need that curve. We can select it, tap H to hide it if you want. It's up to you how you want to do that. And if I take a look at what I built before, it's pretty simple. I'll just tap 3 and then I'll just push down. I didn't do any kind of tapering for that, so just go ahead and click that, right click to confirm. I'll hit 2, and if I hold down Alt, I can click this whole loop, and I'll hold down Alt and Shift and click this whole loop, and then I'll just drag out like that. So we've just made that shape nice and easy. Okay, let's go to the top view like this, and let's take a look at this curve that we've got here. If we tap G, we can move it in here, and I'll go ahead and scale it down this way, tap G, and move it like this. Let's just go ahead and scale it maybe in this way, and I'm going to do a uniform scale, something like that. Okay, so the next thing I can do is I'll take this curve, hit Shift I to imprint it on here like that, and that'll work. Now it will shoot all the way through the bottom, so we got to be aware of that. Okay, so there's different ways that I could do this. I could imprint this, and then we can start to build this shape. My thought is that I could steal that, turn that into an actual shape. I haven't done that with this one before, so we'll see how that goes. I do want that a little bit thicker, so I'm just going to scale it up that way and then re-imprint it on the mesh like that. And I think that's looking pretty good. I'm going to hit undo and tap G, move it down this way just a little bit more, and then maybe scale it out this way just a little bit again. Okay, now Shift I and imprint it. No, went too far with it. Shift I to imprint. Okay, I think that's looking pretty good. I'll hit OK for that. All right, and like I was saying on the bottom, if we go to the bottom of this, and if we hit 2, and we select these edges, I'm just going to hold down Shift and hit X. We can get rid of it. Hit X again. And looks like I had some on the bottom side that I didn't realize that. I've done this before, I guess. Wasn't paying attention to that. So let's clean that up real quick. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on here. All right. And let's tap 3. We'll go ahead and push this in just like this. Right click on there, and I will hold down 2 and hold down Alt, and then I can just do something like this. That's all I did for that one up there. You can see that. I'm just going to right click on there. This is where I wasn't sure how this is going to be handled by the program. So I'm going to tap 3, and we're going to hold down Control Shift and then the plus to grow our selection out. Now if we hit Alt D, that'll duplicate special, and look at that, filled it in for us. Okay, pretty cool. I'm gonna hit OK. And the reason I wanted to do that is because other than making a bunch of curves, we could take this curve and we could use the radial array, and we could imprint all these curves on here and do all the work, but I didn't want to have to sit there and fillet all of these things. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I created that shape. Now I can do the radial array. I'll go to the center of this right here like that, and depending on how many pieces you want, you could do, you can change the number to whatever it is that you want. I was going to go ahead and do 8 like we got here already. And it's already going to select this. I think the order that I need, if I'm going to do a Boolean for this, is actually going to tap 4, select this one, and do Q for a difference. And now I can hold down Shift and then keep adding to this, just like that. And I'll go ahead and hit Enter. And I do have an extra one of these, so I can just hit Delete on that. I'll select my curve and get rid of that. And then that's how that shape right there was made. So pretty easy stuff. Okay, the next shapes that we're going to take a look at are these two that I have selected here. And this is going to go pretty quick. It's going to be pretty easy. So we've already looked at this. We can increase the grid fidelity. I'm just going to click and drag out like this right here. Let me do it one more time. Went a little too fast, and I want to make sure it snaps right to that corner right there, and then drag up. Okay, we're good to go. And then I'm going to take the line tool, and I'm just going to drag across here like this. I'm going to scale it, so I'm going to scale it in right about there. I'll go ahead and select the line tool to offset. I'll go ahead and select O to offset like this and hit Tab and control the fidelity. I can hold down Control like this just to get it about this size. We've already looked at this arc tool that exist here. So if we click and drag out, it's at the very bottom, and I can snap here and here like that. Shift R to do my last tool. There we go. Tap 2, and I'll select this, holding down Shift, and then J to join the curves together. So I should make one curve. I don't need this one. I can select it and hide it. Okay. We've already looked at how we can select this and tap Shift I, and that will imprint into this body. We can take the curve, select it with 2, hide it. So let's go ahead and tap 3 on this one, and I want to tap E to extrude it in because I want to do this tapering effect like this. Okay, tap 2, and I'm going to hold down Alt and Shift so I can select this ring and this ring together. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to hold down Control and see if I can, or actually, I'm just going to turn this grid snapping off and see if that's causing my problem. Yep. So just too large for it to handle. So there we go. Okay. So that's pretty easy. Nothing big about that. What I'm going to do is take this and hit Shift D, and then I'm going to snap this to the grid like that. And what I want to show you with this one, we've already looked at if we tap 3, and if we hit Control Shift plus to grow our selection, we can do Alt D, and that will duplicate special, and that's going to actually fill that in and make a solid for us, all right? So we could easily move this thing over like this, that's fine. But what I want to show you is if we tap F to do a search, and then we do a place command, you can hit Control D for this. You can see this will give you this placed where do you want to put the pivot basically. So I'm just going to click on the center point here, and now this is going to drag this around. If you look on the bottom right hand corner, you can see a bunch of different options for this. So we could either tell it to go along Z or Y or X like this, and we can tap F to flip it. So let's say we're doing here and we want to flip it that way, you can tap F to flip it like that. You could actually scale it as well. It says on if you click for scale, so that'll scale this thing in and out, and I actually want to flip that still. So I'm just going to create one here, right click, and if I hit escape I can get out of that. So you could do multiple placements of things on the surfaces with that workflow right there. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take the line tool. If I wanted to figure out half the distance of this thing to here, I could easily just make a line, and I could tap 4 for this one, tap G to move it, and if I hold down Control, I could snap to that center point like that. Okay, I'll get rid of this curve, and what I'm going to do is get rid of this. We've already got this in here. Okay, so if I select this first, hold down Shift in object mode, tap Q, we can do a Boolean for that, right? And then I can just select the object, hit Alt X to mirror it. My center origin thing is way down there, so that's not going to work. So I'll just tap F to do a freestyle, and then I'll click in this center point, and then that'll give me the ability to start dragging this around and figuring out, well, where do you want to actually mirror it from? I'm going to do this here and do merge halves together, hit OK, and then we've made that shape, and nice and easy. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the two shapes that we've got here. So for this, I already got the block going. I'm just going to use this center circle, so you can click and drag out here from the top. I'm going to go ahead and snap to the center here, just like this, and then snap to this area. So for this, I'm just going to tap 3, and I'm going to push down like that. And to do a difference, we can tap W and select this body, so we can just cut directly into the body like that. We'll go ahead and right click to confirm. We don't need that curve anymore. We can select it and hit H, so we can tap 2 to select the curve. And then what I got here is just a chamfer like this. Maybe it's a little bit too large, so I'm going to hold down Control and then try to drag right in here. I believe you can hold down Control and add Shift to do this, to do finer increments like that. So just to get that there. Okay, so I got this. I'm going to go ahead and do a sphere, and I'm going to click and then drag out from the center, and I'm going to click this edge here like this, but I'm going to tap B for a new body. Right click to confirm. Let's try that again. Not sure why that failed. I'm going to click out, tap B for new body, and then just click here, right click to confirm. Okay, so I'm going to tap 4, select the body, tap S, and I'll just scale that down just to squish that sphere like that. And so then that should give us something pretty similar to what we've got going on here. If we wanted, we could take this, tap 4, tap G, and that should be in the middle. If you want to hold down Control and then get it right there on that edge, you could do that. That's up to you. Then maybe you'd want to rescale this thing back down. Okay, so there's all kinds of possibilities for how you're going to get this different shape that you've got going on here for this. Okay, so we can select this one, we can tap Q, Q, and then we can merge those together, hit OK. So those are actually now one shape. And if we wanted to start to do some things on here, if we hit Control R, we could add some new segments on this. So I'll hit Control R again. Let's do this. Control R, do another one like right in through here, like this. So it's up to you. You can see what I did here. I took 3, and then maybe we can actually try to do an extrusion on this, and that might have some issues. Okay, so here's something else that we could do. We could do Shift D, and that will duplicate that, and you can see it's going to make it a sheet. So that's not going to be a solid. Let's select the sheet and hit the period key just to isolate it, just like this. And I don't want, actually, I didn't realize it was kind of like this bowl shape that we've got going on here for the sheet. Okay, so I'm going to go to the side view like this real quick. And I'm going to make a curve. And it's going to go straight across here like this. And I'm going to hit the period key again. And let's go to this curve at the very bottom, or line. I'll tap G, and I'm going to move it up, and I'm going to hold down Control and snap right there. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that that curve sits right along there. Let's go back to our sheet and our curve. So I'm going to select those two, and I hit the period key. And then now I should be able to select the curve, tap 2, and I'll hit C to cut through it like that. And let's tap 3 right here for this face, and if we hit Shift X, it should get rid of it and get rid of it completely. We don't need this curve anymore. We don't need this curve anymore. And now we've got this this sheet body, or this sheet, correct? So let's tap 4 for the sheet, and if we do F and we do sheet, we can do thicken sheet like this, and then we can grab this. And let me turn off the grid snapping, and then we could just extend that and get a nice little thickness on there. So that was a big workaround to get to the fact that I couldn't extrude that the way that I wanted. We can select these now and select this and tap QQ and then just join those together. And so we've merged those together like that, right? Okay, so if I tap 3 on this, let's try to do extrude on this part like that, just to give a little bit of thickness here. So I'm just going to do a little bit, right click on there. So we've got that, and then we could select our edges here. So tap 2, and if I select this and hold down Shift and select that, we can give a little tiny chamfer or fillet on that particular part and piece. And again, if we do Control R, we could drag in, we could do something like this right here, like that. So I'll just tap 3, tap E for extrude, and then push down like this. And let's see if I'm holding Shift, like if that's going to push straight down, and I think that will. So let's tap 2, and let's drag in like this here. I'll select 3 and then do O for offset on this part. Let's select 3 again. Let's try that again. O. And it's not behaving for me. So let's try Control R. It'll let us do that. Okay, so I'm just going to do Control R to get this part and this piece. I'll select this, tap E for extrude, extrude that up. And I do want to do this thing here. That might be, let me just check this real quick. I'm going to tap 4, and we've got this and this and that. And I'll tap Q, Q, hit OK, and join everything together. So I'm just working with one piece. Let me do this. Hit Alt X and tap F. Oops, Alt X on the body. Tap F And let's see if I could mirror that across this direction. I just want to make sure everything is symmetrical on this. Okay, so that didn't, something looked a little weird there. Alt X, merge, let's do a mirror, tap F, go from across here and merge these together like that. And I'm going to do the same thing here, Alt X, tap F, and I'm going to go from here to here and merge has together. So it should be symmetrical that way. I don't know if I've got off on symmetry a little bit with those extrusions or not. So I just wanted to check that. So I can tap 3 for this, and let's see if I just raise this up. That will work. That. And we could angle it in ever so slightly. So that looks like that's possible. Let's tap 2 and see if I can get rid of these. It looks like it's going to need these to hold. So it's not going to let me delete these. So I can just leave them. So now, and it is because these are not perfectly circular. So I did mess up on that. So I should probably go back and redo some of that. But just for demonstration purposes, we'll get these shapes going like this. And then the last part of this, if I hit Control R, I can make an inset on here like this for this curve. That's one way of getting a curve on here. The other way is that we could go ahead and draw out a circle, maybe from the center point right here. Let's see if I can zoom in on that, get that going like that. And I'm going to imprint this somewhere around there like that. Okay, so I can actually select this right here, and I can make a plane from selection and just go straight to the top like this. And if I wanted, I could click and drag out a curve. Let me snap to grid and turn these off. So I'm just snapping to the grid at this point, and I'm going to make a curve right there. I'll go ahead and I'll just I could rotate the thing and then tap V and put it right down here and then rotate like this and maybe do 15-degree increments. I could do that. It's one thing I could do. I could also do the radial array like this and then maybe do 16 copies, something like that. Or let's try not 240, 24. And yeah, we could do something like that, right? So really all I want, that's overkill. I really only wanted this curve here like that. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with all this stuff. And if I know I don't really need these, I'm going to tap T for trim. That's going to put this in this trim mode. And I really only want this part right here, this curve. So I can get rid of everything else. I really don't need these lines. Let's go ahead and just delete them. So now we've got this curve. Tap 2. We'll tap O for offset. And let's turn off the grid snapping. And we can hit tab, and that's going to give us an offset on both sides like that. And again, if we go back to our arc tool, that's right down here in the bottom, we can select this. Let's go back and turn our snapping on like that. Shift R for our last tool right here like that. And then now we can do 2. Hold on Shift, select these, J to join, select that, get rid of it. And now we've got this curve that you see here. And if we wanted to do 3 of these, that's pretty easy for us to do. Also, I want this a little bit thicker. I'm going to try this. I'm going to do O to offset this curve. And I just want it a little bit thicker, just like that. So I'll get rid of the inner one. Okay, so we'll keep this. I'm going to do a radial array, and I'll do it from the center of the grid, just like that. And then I only want 3, so we're going to hit OK for that. And now we can move the camera. We'll do Shift I and imprint these on here and hit OK like that. We can take our curves to hold down Shift, select that, tap H to hide that. And then now I could tap 3 for these, just push them in, and let's turn off the grid snapping. So I did make those pretty thick in through there. It's up to you how far you want to push that in, just like that. So I'm going to tap 2. I'm going to get all my edges. I'm holding down Alt and Shift together at the same time. And let's see, tab B for bevel. Okay, there we go. So we got that. Didn't turn out as clean as I wanted to. I really should have paid closer attention to what I was doing with the extrudes, and that caused me to do this weird thing here. But then this is actually a whole lot more complex than this object. So basically everything I just showed you, you would be able to do that particular shape on there for that. So that's how we can accomplish these two shapes that you see there. Okay, the last shapes that we're going to be taking a look at are these two here, and I saved these for the last because they are the most difficult. And the reason for that is the way that the program handles this positive shape and negative shape. It has trouble just grabbing all the edges and being able to fillet or chamfer them. So we're probably going to have to take a look at doing some surfacing work in here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started on these two shapes. The creation of the shapes themselves are not that difficult. I'll show you this. So we're just going to start off with a cylinder, and I'm going to drag up from the center here like this. Just click and drag up. I'll tap B for a new body, and I'll go ahead and make it about this size here. Right click to confirm it. I'll hit Shift D to duplicate it. I'll move this up and tap V, snap it here. And if I move down, I can hold down Control and I can snap it right there. Okay. All right. So we've got these two shapes. I'm going to click and drag these down. I'm going to tap G to go move, and we can hold down Control and then just snap right here like that. Now I can put it on rotate, tap R, and I'm going to click and drag, and it looks like it's already snapping for me, but we could always hold down Shift or Control. Should be good there on that. So I'm going to select both of these and just tap S for scale, and then scale these in just a little bit because I'm going to put the circular parts on here, or the spherical parts on here. So let's select these, and I'm going to hide everything else. I'm just going to hit the period key, and I'm going to go to the sphere, and I'm going to click here like this, click, and I'm going to do Q, and then right click, and that fails on me. Let's do this again. Click here, Q, like that. And I'm not sure why it doesn't like this. So if that's not going to work for me, I'll tap B for a new body, like that. That'll make this shape. I can select this as an object, tap 4 and 4 on this one, tap Q and Q, hit OK, and I can mirror that together. So I could just do the same thing on the other side, or I could take this shape that we've got here and hit Alt X, and we can do a mirror, tap F, and then frame it right there like that, and hit OK. We're not going to merge these things together. So now we've got two different objects like this. Okay, we'll tap the period key and bring everything back, and then now we'll be able to take this shape, tap 4, and we're in object mode, and I'll hold down Shift. I'll add this one, tap Q, and then Q, and that'll Boolean those two together. Now we can select this shape, and then hold down Shift, add this shape, tap Q, and we're going to do the difference between those two. Okay, so nice and easy. That's pretty simple. And then this one will be probably even a little bit easier. So we'll go ahead and do the cylinder again. Just click and drag out like this. Then click and drag up. I'll tap B to make sure I've got a new body like that. And I'm going to take this shape as an object, Shift D to duplicate it. I'm going to move it up. And I'm going to get underneath here, tap V, go right there on that, and then I'm holding down Control, and I can snap right there, right-clicking to confirm. So I'll select this, tap G to move again, move down, hold down Control, just like this, okay? And then I'll tap R, and we can rotate this, and let's do about 60 degrees on here. I think that'll be fine, okay? So same thing that we did before. Actually, I'm going to rotate this just a little bit more, like that. There we go. Okay, I'm going to select this and this, tap QQ and Boolean, hit OK. Select this one, hold down Shift, select this, Q, and hit OK. And now we've built these shapes that we've got here. Okay, so that's not a big deal, very easy. The next part is going to be more difficult, where we start to go and we start to try to chamfer or fillet these edges on here. All right, let's go ahead and grab the edges on here, tap 2, and we'll work our way around the entire thing. I'm just going to grab all of them by holding down Alt and Shift together, and I'm going to turn off all the snapping and then just try to drag this out and see what we get. So on this shape, it actually seems to work pretty good, at least for the fillet. If I try to do a chamfer, it's always failing on us. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just leave this as is for the fillet. I do like the look of it. I'll probably just drop it down to something like 0.02 and 0.02 for that. Hit OK, and we're good to go. Now, if you wanted to do a chamfer on here, this is going to be very similar to what I'm going to have to end up showing you on this. This is going to probably be a lot of work over here for this one. Now, it is possible we can tap 3 and we can select these faces on here, and we can actually hit Shift X, and that will delete those faces off. And you can see that this turns this into a sheet at this time. So it's no longer a solid. What it does give us the ability to do is start to grab these edges. We'll tap 2, and I'll hold down, well, actually, I'm going to have to do this by hand, because when I did Alt, it's going to grab these edges too, and I don't want that. So I'm going to hold down Alt here, like this, and click Control. I don't want this, and I don't want this. And so I'm going to just tap L for loft. And on here, instead of doing G1 for tangency, what I'm going to do is click G0 like this. And you can see that G0 will be purely like hard edged on here. And then G1, if I click on that and I can change it to G1, you can see that this is going to be hard edge. And then this is still, that's going to have a nice smooth transition. If I do G1 on this, smooth transitions between both. And if I do G2, that's even more curvature. So a lot of times the G2 actually fails. So your best bet is either G0 or G1 with this. But if you wanted the chamfer instead of fillet look, you would use G0 on this, right? So I could come back through, and you can see it's not connected to that piece anymore, which is fine. If I went here and tap 3, select this, hold down Shift, select this one, and then here, again, Shift X, just like we just did. And then now if I hit 2, I'm going to grab these edges like this, and tap L for a loft, and just tap G0 for that, just like this. Okay, I'm going to right click to confirm. Same thing for this. We'll tap 3, and I will go ahead and hit Shift X, get rid of that, and I'm going to tap 2, hold down Shift, tap L, do G0 like this, and I'm going to do the same thing for this down here. And the reason I'm doing it in this order is I want this part right here to be the last part that I build. I'm going to hit Shift X for that, so I'm going to tap 2, hold down Shift, tap L, put this on G0 like that, and then I'm going to get rid of these shapes right here. So I'll tap 3, Shift X, get rid of this, Shift X, just like that, and then I will go tap 2 on here. Actually, I'm going to see about this, right? So a loft needs these 2 rails. Just tap L for that, do G0. Looks like that'll work fine. And if I click these edges, I can do those as well. So that's, looks like it's working okay. All right, so that's one way to get it done. And sometimes you might need to patch things. So let's get rid of this. And what I'm going to do is go tap 4, select all these objects, tap J to join them. And if you have trouble, you might want to do these one at a time. So I'm selecting this and tapping J. So it's basically welding these things together. Let's tap J there. And looks like we got this here. Tap J. And then the only thing that we've got left now is there's this hole in here. So because I built a hole, I can select these edges, tap F, and type in patch. And I'll go ahead and patch this right here like this, all with G0, and hit OK. And let's see, if I select 4, this made this into a solid, so this has converted this into a solid. So I know there's a little bit of work to get there on this, but it looked like that shape actually did pretty good for the fillet. And if I want to do a chamfer on this, this is how I can get that done with this at that point. Okay, here we go on the last shape here. And this one will be a little bit more difficult for sure. I'm going to tap 2. I'm going to grab these edges here, here, and here. And I don't have any snapping turned on. I just want to show you what's going to happen in the case of this. So we can't do any chamfer. It is going to give us a fillet, but this is probably not the look that you're going after for this, right? So if I hit Shift Z, you can see we've got this really harsh shading that we've got going on here. So we're going to have to do some work to this to get this into shape. Right. So there's different ways I guess we could go about this. And I was going to see if we could do one edge at a time and see what the results of that and what those give us. And even if I turn on snapping, tap B, and let's say we do 0.2 for this. And so we are able to do a chamfer and we're able to do fillet. Okay. So this is going to go that direction. This one is going to go in here like this. So we can do both those. That works. Now at this point, we've got this edge here that we could do chamfer or fillet. So we got another one. And then this is where I was finding if it's at 0.2, you see it fails right here like this. But if I take snapping off and I do some other value that's a little bit higher, it works. If it's a little bit lower, it seems to work as well. So you're gonna get something that looks like this. Okay, so probably not optimal. Now, if that's good enough for you, then you're good to go, and you can do that. And that would work for you. The next step is where it's going to get pretty complicated because it's going to get into surfacing at that point. So there's a nice little workflow that we can use where we can select all these edges. So we tap 2, hold down Shift, select these, and if we tap P, that will actually give us a pipe. And so we can drag this out for the thickness of this. And I'm going to do 0.02, just like that. And I'm going to tap B, and that will make a new body for us. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to right click and confirm that. And then now I'm going to select this curve and then this curve, and I'll do the same thing. We'll tap P. We'll set this to 0.02. And I'm going to tap B to make that into a new body. And we can right click and we can say OK for that. All right. So what's that going to give us? We can now take this, we'll tap 4 for this object, and we'll select this ring here and tap Q, and we'll do a Boolean. So we're going to get rid of that. Now we'll take this resulting shape, hold on Shift, select this, tap Q, hit OK, and we've just Booleaned off those different shapes that we've got on here. Okay, so now we can tap 3, and if you remember the surfacing thing that we just did before, we can select these and hit Shift X, and we'll select this one, Shift X, here and here, and we'll hit Shift X for that. And this is going to give us this shell that we can start working with, and we can start building and trying to create our different surfaces that we've got. Okay, for the last part, let's start building some curve data on here. So I'm going to hit Control R, and I'm going to hit Tab, and we can actually split along the middle here like this. I'm going to go Control R on here again, go right up the center here. I'm going to hit Control R again, go right up the center here like this. And I'm going to do the same thing here, hit Control R, hit Tab, and that can swap the direction for us. Click right in the middle. And now we have this split where we only really need to work on one half of this. at least for right now. Okay, so that's going to give us our splits that we got going on here. The next thing I'm going to do is try to build everything except for this corner piece that's going to be right in here. So this is going to be the most difficult area to get working. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the line tool. I'm going to click here. I'm going to click an edge here. And you can see if I run along here, if we got snapping turned on, that I can try to find this thing that says closest edge face. Right click like that. Okay. So this is going to give me a curve here, and then I can just build out another curve like this. And if I just find this this purple line, I can drag along there, and I can just make a straight line right off that. So I'm actually going to get rid of this line, and then I'm going to select this shape, this curve here, hit Shift D, and that's going to duplicate our curve. So I got a curve and I got a curve here. I'm going to actually select both these curves like this, just tap the period key and just hide everything else. And then if I tap F and do a find, and if I do bridge like this, you can do a bridge between two different things, which is Shift B. And you can click the end and the end like that, or you can do the bridge curve, either one. If you do the bridge curve, it's basically going to give you what we just have here like that. So you could use the hotkey for that. But you can see that it's built this new curve for us, and it actually has tangent data on there. So what that means is this curve is going to flow out of here and then flow into this curve with no break in there. So when we build a surface out of that, it will be perfectly smooth. So we could do the same thing for this and hit Shift B and then build a curve between those two right there like that. And if I select this, and if I hit Shift D to duplicate that, and I do Shift D to duplicate this one, we now have 4 curves that we can select. And so then now at this point we could do a loft. And so we can select this curve, and then hold down Shift, select this curve, and I've got a problem. So this curve that we duplicated along here is longer than this. We need this to be cut off right here. So what we can do is use this tool right here where it says split curve edge at point. Go ahead and click that. And if we got snapping turned on, it recognizes that this curve is right here, and it'll actually put a point there for us. So now we can get rid of that point, or this part of the curve there. So normally to join a curve, you tap J. If you want to unjoin a curve, you can hit Alt J like that. And now you can see it's broke that little part and that little piece off. So I can go ahead and select it, and I can get rid of it. So I can just hit backspace. So now I can select this curve, tap L to do a loft on there. And if we do G, actually it's not going to do G0 yet. So just give me a second here. We've lofted between these two, and now if we want to use these as guides to go along here, we can hold down Shift, select this, and then Shift and select this, and you can see how that's built tangency and the flow coming out of that surface right there like that. Okay, and whenever this shape is done, we can just select this part if we want, and then we can hit Alt X, tap F, put this right here, and then we could go right down the center like that, and maybe just click there and right click to confirm. So now we've got this sheet here, right? And I'm not going to join everything together yet, but this is going to be part of the process that we can follow with this. Okay, so I can get rid of this curve here. Don't need that. I'll just go ahead and leave this for now, just to take a look at. We've got this curve here, and what we could do, just like we did before, we can tap 2, select this, and hit Shift B to do a bridge between those edges. It's going to make a nice new curve for us, right? And if we select this and we hit Shift D, we can generate a new curve. Now we could do a loft between this and this, but what I would like to do is try to get something like this. We're going to build a curve off of here. We're going to come here and then see if there's anything over here that it's going to want to snap to. And it looks like it's going to do this right here, this closest edge. And then at that point, I'm going to drag off and then make a flat curve like this. And then just get rid of this curve here. And then I'm going to select this curve, and then hit Shift B. because those are two open curves like that, it's going to want me to try to join them this way. Just to make sure it's not grabbing anything that I don't want to grab, I'm going to select those two curves, tap the period key, and then select these again, Shift B, and I can click here and here like that. And you can see it's going to make that new part and that new piece for us. We'll tap the period key to bring everything back. I don't need this part of the curve anymore. I'm going to just use that to build this part here. So now I've got curve and curve, and we can do a loft. We'll just select those two curves, tap L, hold down Shift. That adds the first rail. And then the second rail will be right here. Hold down Shift, and we can do that right there like that. Okay, I'm actually surprised that this worked here, this curve extended past there. So if you remember what we did before, we just clicked and added a point there. We selected the curve, Alt-J to unjoin it, selected this part of the curve, and then just deleted it right there like that. Okay, so again, now we got a new object, and we can hit Alt-X. We can tap F to put our pivot point there, and then let's just find something that we can grab onto like that. Right click, and we're good to go. Okay. All right, so let's keep working our way around, and we'll tackle these parts of the object next. Okay. So we're going to continue to work our way around the model, and I'm going to use the line tool here. Again, just clicking on a point like this and seeing where I can find along this edge, and it says this closest edge face. Go ahead and click that. And then if I want to right click it in that, I can just hit Shift A, and that'll bring up the line tool again. I'm just going to click and then drag out along this purple line like that, just to get a line that we can connect to. So I'm going to take this line here, and I'm going to hit Shift D to duplicate that. I'm going to add this line to it. I'll just hit the period key. I've just found this is a little bit easier for me to select the right lines that I need and then connect them. So I'm going to hit Shift B. We're going to do this bridge curve, and I'll go from this point to here, right like that. We can come back to the period key. So you can see we've just generated this curve that we've got here. And then now we need a rail here and here. So I'll hit Shift D for that. And then we can select two. We can select this edge that we added here along with this one, and hit Control B, and you'll see it automatically just bridges those two. And the difference is this is a curve that's actually on the surface, and so is this one, and so it just adds that curve. So it feels a little bit different whenever you create these. But at first I was wondering, why did it make this new curve and it didn't connect these? But actually doing the surfacing work, it makes sense. That's why this is done. So you can actually select these different curves like this, and then be able to either patch or loft between them. So I'll just tap L for this to do the loft, and I'll hold down Shift, click this, and then this one, and then we've got that shape going right there for us. Okay, hit OK for that. The next thing that I want to do is this. I want to go from this curve, and I want to build some kind of tangency on there for that. So I'm going to select this point right here, and then come along here and see what it gives us to this closest edge face perpendicular. So let's right click like that, and again we will take the curve tool and just continue this on over like this. So I just need something like that. Tap 2, get rid of this curve. We'll select this curve and this curve. I'll hit the period key, and we can do Shift B again to do the bridge between those. Okay, bring everything back. So that's going to give us this curve that we've got going on here. Let's select this one and then this one, and Shift B. That'll build that curve for us here. And then now I do need this. I've got this curve. Got this, we need a curve here. So let's hit Shift D for that. And I really don't want that part that's on there. So we're going to be using this tool, this split curve edge at point. So we can go click right there like that. And remember to unjoin the curves, we hit Alt J. And now I can hit 2, and it looks like I might have grabbed the wrong thing on there. So we got this, let's just do this one more time. I'm gonna click here like that, and I'll select 2, hit Alt J to unjoin the curves. There we go. I can get rid of it. All right, so I'm gonna select this curve, tap L, hold down Shift, And you can see we've just built that part for ourselves there. We don't need this curve anymore. We'll go ahead and get rid of that. We don't need this. We can get rid of that. And then now this is going to be a little bit trickier right in through here. So let's see how this behaves for us. I do know from doing this in the past that there was some issues with it coming to this point like that, but I'm going to see how this generates here for this. I'm going to tap 2 for this curve, and this curve I'm just going to hit period to, oops, let's see, let's go select this curve right here and make sure I'm not selecting the sheet. Let's go select that whole thing. There we go. There's that curve, and this curve, tap period key. And again, Shift B to bridge, just like that. So now I've got this curve here. I need this and this. I'll hit Shift D to make a curve out of that. So I've got this curve, this, and this. And we could do the loft again. So we can tap L, hold down Shift here, and I'm going to have to maybe go on the back side and do that. And that actually generated the surface for us. Okay, cool. So I could do another loft over here on this one. Let's select this and this, Shift D like that. And so we got this curve and then this curve right here. I'll tap L for a loft right there. Hold down Shift here, and you can see it's going to fail on us like this, no matter what the tangency is and everything. So this is what I was a little bit concerned about. What I could do now, I'm just going to take these curves right here and then just select them all, tap H to hide them. I want to see what happens if we try to patch this surface together and just see what happens in that case. Yeah, so let's just do this. So we're going to tap 4. We're going to start to select these sheets that we've got on here, and I'm going to select them and just tap J to join. And we've got still 2 of them here, so I got this and this. See if we can join that. That one does not like this particular thing, so I might just take this as an object, hit Alt X to mirror it, and then tap F to go right here and go across like that. And I'll say merge halves together like that. Okay. Okay, so now we have everything joined together. What I'm going to try to do is run a patch command on this. So I'm going to tap 2 on here and here like this and do F for search and then type in patch. And it looks like that's going to work. So G0 is going to give us just really crisp hard edges on this thing. And I'm going to see if we can do G1 on these. And if it doesn't fail, it just failed there. So it's thinking. Let me give it some time here. So it definitely failed there. If we got G0 here, even if we try to do G1, so let's try G1 here and here, and that's causing it to fail. So that's at least allowing us to make a surface on there for that. Still doesn't look great, so I'm gonna just hit OK for this, and then I'm going to mirror it across, and then if I hit Shift Z, I made a hotkey for myself to turn on and off the wireframe on here. So if I right click on there and take a look at this under here for the wireframe, I know I got these controls on there. So just made a hotkey for that, but it looks like at least with this method, I'm going to have some shading issues on here. But if we pull this into ZBrush later, that's probably not going to be that big of a deal at all. So I'll select this, I'll hit Alt X on the object mode, and then tap F, and then find a center point, and then come straight across like that. And we've got this and this. I forgot to merge the 2 pieces, so I can just tap QQ to join them together like this. And if I've done everything right, it should turn that into a solid. on there. So let's look at the wireframe on this again. Um, my initial thought about this is that if I wanted to try to do a better job of rebuilding this, I might need to do some additional work on trying to separate this out or building something in this area. I think this is the area that's problematic for it, which is a little bit unfortunate because with working with polygons, this would be not a big deal. We could come up with a solution for subdivision surfaces to get that figured out in this part. So if you've got any suggestions in the comment area, I do know that this is becoming a whole lot more complex for surfacing, and I'm trying to make this just an introduction to some of these things. So if you want to check out some other videos that are out there that are dealing with strict surfacing, I know there's a solution in there somewhere for this thing. Yeah, but I think this should at least get you started on some of this stuff and get you to the point where you are going to make. Again, I think these are all pretty simple shapes. When we get into the surfacing stuff, that's where things become a whole lot more complicated at that point. Okay, so I hope this helps you and it gets you started within the program. It shows you the power of the program. It shows you that it can actually be fun to model in here. And you can see that if you want to get really, really complex, you can build yourself up to the point where you start using combinations of what we did before and along with these surfacing options that we just took a look at as well. So I hope everything I put together for you helps you get started inside of Plasticity and starts to get you to make shapes and some cool designs. If you want to follow along in the next video, my plan for that video is to show you how to take the work that we have in Plasticity, export it from this program. Then we're going to be able to pull that work inside of ZBrush and then capture those as brushes and make our own brush pack from the work that we did. All right. So I hope this helps and have fun learning Plasticity.